Chris Lowe broke the story this morning that Charlie Strong has agreed to come to the University of Alabama as a defensive analyst. Chris Lowe, welcome back to T-Town. I hope you're having a great day.
I am. Good to be with you.
Chris, now, were you a Moody Blues fan? Were you a Moody Blues fan?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
Okay.
I'm an Eagles guy, though. I love all the Eagles stuff, but never a big Moody Blues guy.
Okay. You and Saban ever talk about music? Because, I know he loves music.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, we've talked about music over the years. Yeah. And Nick's, he's a Renaissance man. Michael Jackson, the Eagles. He likes a little bit of all of it.
Well,
Saban and I think I've written this before. Saban and Bill Belichick, way back, went to an Eagles concert together at the old Cleveland Stadium.
Okay. So that's a great band, and a lot of greatest songs. It's the songs that you kind of sing along with, and I think everybody kind of resonates with some way, somehow, some connection with the Eagles. Chris, let's go to Charlie Strong. What will Charlie Strong bring to the University of Alabama?
Well, he's a guy that's, he's, defensively, Charlie's track record speaks for itself. He's been around great defenses. He's coached great defensive players. He's developed them. He knows what a really good defensive player in the SEC looks like. And that's, his role as a defensive analyst will be helping, in a lot of different ways. Obviously, he can't be an on-the-field coach, but helping game plan, get game plans ready, who needs to be where for opposing offenses. So that part of it, even though he has a coach in the SEC in a few years, he understands the league, understands the way it works, what you got to do, and the way you got to play. I tell you, maybe the more underrated part of his role there is Charlie is a great people person, relationships and connecting with players. Players respect him. He's one of those guys you just want to have around your team, around your locker room, around the practice field. He's coached so many great football players, different types of players. And Charlie's always been really good at managing personalities. On any football team, you always have a wide variety of personalities, and he's a guy that can handle those personalities and be a guy that those players can go to when things happen. So it's a win-win for Alabama and for Nick Saban to get somebody of Charlie's caliber. I've known Charlie a long time. Gosh, going all the way back when he coached. I guess I met Charlie in the mid-'90s when he coached at South Carolina, Lou Holtz. And just look at the coaches now he's worked under. Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Lou Holtz, Steve Spurrier. Great, quite a coup for Nick to get Charlie because he had a lot of other opportunities in the league in various roles.
Chris, when you look at Charlie Strong, what happened late last week when the news kind of broke that he was in Tuscaloosa meeting with Nick Saban? There was a lot of reaction that, okay, maybe Charlie Strong has a different role, that maybe it's an increased role, that maybe there's a defensive coordinator or a co-defensive coordinator. I know that the math doesn't work out because you can only have 10 assistant coaches in the college ranks, but a lot of people had a chance to look at Charlie Strong and they really got excited. Now, as a defensive analyst, maybe not so much excitement. Could those roles be expanded in the future? Could Charlie Strong be that safety net for Nick Saban?
No, I don't think so much this season, unless somebody leaves, on the staff, in the late hour. But, down the road, Nick's done it before. He's brought in, Sarkisian came in as an analyst, right? And can't remember, did Lane come in initially as an analyst?
Yeah, well, he came into that bowl practice of 2013.
Right. So,
yeah.
we've seen that happen before. We'll see what happens on the staff. I think more than anything, Nick saw this as a chance to get a veteran coach who's coached really around the country. He's at Texas. He's coached in the SEC at several different places. And Nick's got a long track record of bringing in former head coaches. He's so secure in doing that and being able to tap into these guys. Hey, when you had this situation or that situation before as a head coach, how did you handle it? For all of Nick's, for all the facade out there that Nick's, a dictator. He likes guys that challenge him. You got to do it the right way, but he likes to be challenged. And I think that's one of the reasons he's not afraid to bring in former head coaches. And that's why I think that's, again, why Charlie was a guy a lot of people coveted around the league. He had, as I said earlier, he had chances to go not only as an analyst but as a coordinator. A couple of different schools in the league had talked to him about defensive coordinator roles. But if you're looking at it from Charlie's perspective, look at all the guys who've come through there at Alabama over the years, who've been former head coaches, who've been able to go on and be head coaches elsewhere. Mike Loxley, Lane Kiffin. I think Sarkisian is certainly going to get that job or get that opportunity. I think he's in it at Colorado. So if you're looking at it just purely from Charlie's perspective, why not go to Alabama and work under Nick Saban and work in that program and see how he does it? I've talked to Lane ad nauseum about that. He got a chance to work for a guy like Pete Carroll, who did it one way, and then a guy like Nick Saban, who did it a completely different way. And that's helped him. It's helped him grow and helped him get back into the SEC. I think Charlie probably looks at that in a similar fashion.
What do you think Lane Kiffin's going to be able to do at Ole Miss? Well,
I'll tell you what he'll do. He's already made him relevant just from a news, cycle, and people are down there writing stories about him. I think that's going to help him in recruiting. He will recruit at a high level. He'll bring in good players there, and I think they will play an exciting brand of football. Now, that's a tough division, and he knows that. I mean, you're in a division with that gauntlet, Alabama and LSU and Auburn and Texas A&M. To me, is a team that maybe not in his first couple of years, but they will be a factor. They're just too good a territory for recruiting, fertile recruiting soil. They've spent money. They're going to continue to reinvest. Jimbo's won a national championship. So I still think that's the toughest division in college football. So Lane understands they're going to strap it on pretty good there. But I do believe, Hugh Freeze showed, and people can make jokes about how, and the circumstances showed that you could win at a high level there not too long ago. So, no, I think that Lane will get that program to the point to where they're relevant again. Now, can they win an SEC championship in the next 3 or 4 years? I don't know. I mean, that's a high, that's a lofty goal, but I can promise you that's his goal. And that's absolutely what he believes they can do, and I think that's what they'll work toward.
Chris, let's go back to defense in Alabama here. We had Brad Edwards on yesterday from ESPN to talk about the Football Power Index. And as you know, you look at the rankings, and do they mean anything in 200 days away from Alabama and USC? No, I mean, not really, but it gives us a really good conversation point for the game of college football, and Alabama's at 4th. But one of the things that Brad told us is he said when you look at defensive projections, that Alabama's about 13th on that Football Power Index. And I love the algorithm that they're able to plug in and kind of project what teams are going to look like. And he said, that is my biggest concern is Alabama's defense. When you look at Alabama, from your perspective, what is your biggest concern around the Tide?
Well, just getting back to being that dominant defense that we saw when they were at their best under Nick. Just really dictating what other people were going to be able to do on offense. And they haven't been able to do that as much recently. And I think there's reasons for it. They've changed the way they play offense, and they've sort of evolved offensively, which they had to do in the game today. The game's changed. So much of the game now is geared towards the rules and everything towards offensive football, and Nick knew he had to do that on the offensive side of the ball. But they just haven't been as good. You go back to last year, they didn't tackle as well. They didn't stop the run like they always have in the past. Those are things that, the game's changed, the game's evolved, but those are parts of the game that never change. If you can't stop the run consistently and you don't tackle well in space consistently, especially in today's game, you're just not going to be as good. So I think those are things that they got to get back to. I think Charlie will help them with some of that. Again, now he can't be on the field instructing, but I think having him around certainly will help that. But I think that's that part of defense, not giving up as many explosive plays on defense are things that they need to get back to. But they continue to recruit well. They will recruit well, and I don't think that – I think it's more of a blip than it is you're seeing a consistent downward trend for Alabama on defense because Nick's too good a defensive coach, understands what it takes, and has shown the ability to change and evolve. Everybody said, for the longest time that the spread offense was his kryptonite. Well, They changed the way they recruited. They went and they found guys who could play hybrid roles, guys that could play every down. Every school's looking for those guys now. The big 320-pound nose guard, it's hard for those guys to play now in this day and age, and certainly in college football. But I think that Ryan, to me, is they've got to get back to just being more dominant up front, affecting the passer, getting to the passer, tackling better in space, and stopping the run. I think they got to do on defense if they're going to get back to where they were on defense.
Well, I go back to your colleague, Adam Rittenberg, who wrote an article in April of 2015. I think it was April 2015. It was Reggie Ragland who gave the quote to him, and he said that Nick Saban had been talking to the defensive leaders and said, they're no longer afraid to play you guys. They're not afraid of us anymore, is I think what he told Adam Rittenberg. And I look at that and I talk about that reestablishment in 2015, and then 2016 was a great defensive unit, but I kind of look at it like that. When you look at Alabama, look at that defense. Is offenses afraid to play that defense in the last couple of years since the 2016 season where they had all that historic run at defense? They haven't been, and maybe that's the part of the reestablishment that you're talking about.
Yeah, again, part of it is game change. It's, when you're playing the way you're playing, teams are playing offense now, including Alabama, your defense is on the field a lot more. You're playing a lot more plays. I think in a lot of ways, what constitutes really, really good defense now as we head into the 2020 season almost needs to be redefined. Total yards. How much is it really? Scoring defense will always be a barometer. Okay,
sure.
If you hold teams down in scoring, you're always going to have a chance to win. But total yards, I don't know that means a whole lot. To me, it's again limiting explosive plays. It's turning teams over, forcing turnovers are things, and not letting teams dictate what they're going to do by running the football. And you've got to be able to play in space. People talk about recruiting athletes that can be playmakers in space, and typically, Ryan, they think about guys on the offensive side of football. People that can make you miss in space, people that can take a 10-yard pass and turn it into a 40, 50-yard pass. A lot of the same guys, a lot of players that Alabama and LSU both had on offense last year. You look at all those guys on LSU, Alabama had those guys. I think that also can be said on defense. Guys that can make plays in space on defense, can make tackles out there, by themselves, a linebacker, a safety, where a guy catches a ball, and if you don't make that tackle, instead of being an 8 or 10-yard gain, it's going to be a 50-yard gain. So I think it goes for the defensive side of the ball, too, and finding those guys and developing those guys on that side of the ball.
You've also published on the website there, College Football's Way Too Early All-American Team for 2020. You've got the name Dylan Moses on the defensive side of the football. If Dylan's able to stay healthy, what is the ceiling for this young man?
Well, he was a huge loss for them last year. They were not even close to the same defense without him, not just because of his production, but what he meant to everybody else around him. Getting guys lined up, making up for mistakes, just his knowledge of the defense. He was that guy that on all Alabama's defenses have been great. They always had that guy, and he was that guy. When they lost him, they just coupled with the fact they lost so many other linebackers, they just never were able. Got my dog in here.
No. Maybe that's a source.
Not real happy about me talking about Dylan Moses. But when you couple that with the other linebackers that they lost last year, losing him, they just never were able to recover. But no, he's a great tackler. He's a guy that cover sideline to sideline, and again makes up for other mistakes, cleans up mistakes on the field. And there's no substitute for those kind of guys.
Chris, final question. When you look at LSU, what do you see in 2020? What type of team will this Tiger team be?
Well, they won't be as good as they were last year. I don't think there's going to be this drastic drop-off that some people are predicting because they've recruited well over the last few years. It's not like they just recruited to have one great team. They've recruited very well, and I think that's where you see guys like a Jamar Chase who will be back. Jacoby Stevens at safety. Now, they're going to have other guys make big jumps that maybe everybody doesn't know about that aren't household names right now next year. How is Miles Brennan? What does he do how does he develop a quarterback? They're going to have I shouldn't say a brand new staff, but new guys on offense and defense. So there'll be a transition. I think next year will be a little bit of a transition year for them, but I don't think they go from being, because you can make the argument, last year's season for LSU was as good a season as we've seen from any team in college football in the last 20 years. Maybe going back to Auburn in 2010, when you look at the schedule they played and just how explosive and how prolific they were on offense. So I don't think I don't think you're going to see that type of team, but I also don't think you're going to see them go from what they did, winning the national championship and winning as many games as they did, to being a team that just wins 8 games. I think they're better than that. I think they've recruited better than that. I think the standard has been set there in Baton Rouge.
Chris Lowe, ESPN, breaking the story around Charlie Strong this morning. Chris, thank you for giving us a couple of minutes this afternoon to be a part of our show. We appreciate the time.
Sure thing. You guys have a great day.